Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kris Bertagnolli. I am here today in the studio with my good friend, Michelle Bailey. How you
Hi.
doing, Michelle?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to the studio. Michelle is on this side of the state in East Idaho today. She was speaking at an event up in Rexburg today. I'm going to ask her a little bit about that here in a minute. But just so you guys know who Michelle is, I'm gonna shout out a couple of
Oh boy.
titles here. She is the acting 2026 president of the Idaho Realtors.
Yep.
Right. She's in the RPAC Hall of Fame.
Yep.
She was the Boise Regional Realtor of the Year in 2021
Yep.
and Idaho Business Review Power 25 #4 in 2021.
Yep.
Freaking killing it. She's
Almost
the
embarrassing.
owner operator of Ben Kinney Team Idaho.
Yep.
They're a place team. So, you know what, Michelle, I'm super grateful to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So I was talking to some people today up there at this event. I was, lucky enough to be there. Let's talk a little bit about your roots. Like, you're not from Idaho.
What?
You're not an OG. I'm not either. I'm from Utah.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Idaho and when?
Well, I am from that state called California. Yeah. And my ongoing joke is I'm from the better part, which is northern.
Okay.
So I'm from the Bay Area, and I did live in Twin Falls for a few years growing up. So I spent my 6th, 7th, 8th grade years there in Twin and moved back to California. And in 2005, I moved to Idaho after a divorce, a better place to raise my 2 young boys who were young then, not so much now. And it turned out to be the best decision I ever made in my life.
Right on. How old are they now?
Math hard. They are now 27. Wow.
Holy cow.
I know. And 24.
They still in Idaho? They still here?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
That's what they would say. Not from my perspective, obviously.
Well, they like it here. So 2005, you pick up, single mom.
Yep.
Move these boys. What were you doing before then? What did you do in California before real estate? What was your career path?
So I had spent the previous really 12-ish years in law enforcement.
Okay.
So I worked for Pinole Police Department, Fairfield, and Backville Police Departments. And then I spent I think it was like 2 years. It may have been closer to a year and a half in law enforcement tech.
What is that? What is law enforcement tech?
Well, it's software
Okay.
development side of
Okay.
things. And so I did like training, and we had, remember, mobile data terminals, MDTs. Yeah.
I do.
So I trained and helped with some of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pre-cell phones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, ones that weren't big
Yeah.
blocks.
Pre-smartphones, really.
Pre-smartphones.
Heck, that's really a different world than real estate.
Yeah, but it also, you're managing emotions,
Okay.
right? So at the end of the day, there is some parallels. My ongoing joke is in law enforcement, you piss a lot of people off. Excuse my French. And you still get paid.
Yep.
But if on the opposite side in real estate, if you piss someone off, you don't get paid.
Yeah, you're not getting that check.
No, not at all.
And you don't have the authority. I think the authority to piss somebody off was different, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. 2005, you moved what part of Idaho? You came to Idaho.
We moved to the Boise area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have friends there or?
Yeah, so my best friend from high school, her family had moved here. And so her mom actually worked in Oakland at a hospital and lived in Eagle, and she commuted. And so
Okay.
when she was in California, she would stay with me sometimes. And one day she said, "You should move to Idaho." And I was like, "Sounds like a good idea." And I did.
Oh my heck.
I can't even believe it. I think I said earlier, like, to be that spontaneous with so much writing on it and to not really think through the consequences of that is pretty amazing.
Yeah, but I think it speaks volumes to your character and to who you are. Because,
Well, thank you.
Sitting here now, you can look back and you can see the decision, but then, that was pretty courageous, we'll call it.
Yeah.
So you move here on a whim, really? No connections other than her. You're living in Boise. Like, what what did you do for work? I mean, you're in law enforcement. That's what you did. Did you just come and say, I'm gonna figure it out?
No, well, first of all, I did look at doing the same thing when I came here. And if I remember correctly, Nampa was the highest paying department at the time, which was $13 an hour.
Oh my heck.
And when I started 10, 12 years previous, I started at $18 an hour in California. Now I know there's a discrepancy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Cost of living difference,
yeah,
but
all of it. But
yeah.
still, for me to go that far back and to work nights and weekends and not have the support around raising the kids, I was just like, that's not even an option for me. And a friend of mine had a company that did technical recruiting, which basically is like hiring certain job types for companies. And so he hired me to do that, and I hated it. I hated it so much I quit on day 2.
Well, I think you mentioned earlier today when I was listening to you that it was cold calling,
Yeah, it's cold calling.
which is kind of, I mean, it's a little bit ironic because
I
you do a
know.
lot of that in real estate.
I like to call real estate warm calling, though,
Okay.
and it's a mind shift difference.
I like that. I like that. So you do that for him. How long did that last?
Well, I guess technically a day and a quarter.
He said, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, it took all I had to come back from lunch on day 1, and on day 2, I was like, I just have to own it and walk in and apologize for wasting their time because I'm not doing
I'm
this.
out.
I'm out.
Well, so then what?
So then I call her my second mom, said, you should take some time off, enjoy the boys. You've never really been able to do that. And I thought, that's a good idea. And so I did. And then January hit. And well, I moved in August. So, I took the rest of the year off. And January hit, and mama needed to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that Boise is a good old boys town. And it was really hard to find something. And so then I hired a company who they did this like informational interview kind of thing. And I met a gal that had a property management company, and she gave my resume to a guy that was opening a buyer specific brokerage, which now I realize is probably kind of crazy. And he sent me to real estate school. And then after I finished real estate school, he said, good luck. We're not opening our doors.
Oh my heck.
Yeah.
But now
So
you're licensed. At
now I'm
least you've got
licensed.
this real estate license. So, and you got 2 boys, 2 mouths to feed.
Yep.
So, okay, that didn't work out, but I've got this license. What am I going to do?
Yeah. I, was going over that with a friend of mine who we were in real estate school together. And she said, well, I just joined this team and they do leads. And why don't you just come work with them? And so it was a Saturday morning. I went and met with the team leader. He was a talker, and I'm actually not a talker. And I just watched him while he talked for a few hours. And he said, all right, well, do you want to join? Sure. So I did, and put together my first offer 3 weeks later.
Wow.
And I think it's, to me, what it reminds me of over and over again is we have these preconceived notions of how things should work or be, or we make assumptions and tell ourselves a story. And often that keeps us from doing things.
Mm.
And I say that because I moved to Idaho, right? If I
Mhm.
really thought about it, that wasn't a smart decision. I got into real estate, 100% commission, raising boys in an area that I didn't know anyone. Also, probably not the smartest.
Wise, right?
Yeah. And then I was working with him, and my first client actually said, "Oh yeah, I have a realtor. I don't need anything." Well, I didn't know that meant you should stop calling them. So I just kept calling to check on him.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, "Well, I have some questions." And then then I'm like, "Well, I thought you had a realtor." "Well, I do, but she's not really giving me the time of day." "Oh, okay, game on." So I showed him property and wrote my first offer at Arctic Circle.
No way. Got
Yeah.
it done.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks in.
3 weeks in.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you know what, I have to agree with you. I think not only do we have preconceived notions, but a lot of times it's human nature to think of the worst.
Yep.
Like if we're looking at a scenario and we've got to go and that we don't have any data, we don't, and we're going to put ourselves out there, the human mind always thinks of the worst
Yep.
that's going to happen. We don't do a good job of saying, well, what's the good that could come from this?
Yeah.
And so kudos to you. I mean, you jumped
Thanks.
right in, wrote that offer. So you got an offer, you're moving forward. Was it love of real estate right out of the gates? Did you love, this is
Well, I
not an
love the
easy game,
paycheck.
right? It's not an easy game.
Yeah.
So you love that paycheck.
Love the paycheck. I just immediately, this team focused on internet leads. And remember, this is 2006.
Okay.
Zillow just started. And internet leads was new. And so the internet leads that we got were good internet leads. And then you have my background of dispatching, because that's what I did. I can really hear the tone in people's voice and pick up on things. And so I think it allowed me to connect fairly quickly with those on the phone. And so I just found great success with that initially,
Wow.
which was good.
There's probably some parallels there because, when you're dealing with people that are in emergency situations, there's a lot of emotion that
Yeah.
you're probably dealing with, I would assume. My dad was a firefighter growing up, and so
Okay.
yeah, we always got those dispatch
Yeah.
calls at 3 a.m. But I think that buying home is a very emotional thing.
Yeah.
And so you probably got a sense of that. And I know you well enough to know that you're very intuitive with that, with people. And
Thank you.
so you're converting, you're getting these leads, you're starting to write deals, and you just, that was it. You're in. I'm now
in.
doing this thing.
Yeah.
So awesome. So how long did it take you? You're on this team and you're in the Boise area, which you've been there for years. How long did it take you to really just start to say, okay, I want to start building a team of my own. I want to start doing something bigger than what I'm doing. What was that transition like?
Yeah, it's interesting because the team that I worked with, short sale started in 2008-ish. And the team that I worked with decided to go on their own. And so, of course, I went with them. And then I went and got my broker's license so I could be their broker. And when I got my broker's license and realized the liability, I was like, I'm not going to be your broker. I know you guys. I'm not going to do it. And so then actually fairly soon after that, I went solo.
Okay.
And then I was recruited from another team to be a buyer's agent. And so I went and worked with them. And they also did a lot of short sales. So I learned a lot between those two partners.
The fact that you even made it through those 2 years
Yeah.
is a testament to who you are. That was, the crisis, right? The real estate crisis. And so you're seeing a ton of short sales. You're on this other team. You're learning about short sales. We're starting to see some of those come back.
Yeah. It's not as much as people think, but there are some out there for sure.
Signs.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that second team, you were there. How long were you on that team?
I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I can't remember, to be honest. But in that time, Keller Williams started knocking. And I was very much in scarcity mode. So I lost everything in 2009. And I was building back. And
let's go back to that real quick because
okay.
I want you to hit on that. You lost everything. You mentioned earlier this morning you short sold your own house.
Yeah.
So, and that you only were able to buy that house because of a stated income loan.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So,
well, when I quit my job, I was in escrow. Who knew you needed to have a job?
Which is so ironic. You warn people right now,
Yeah.
right? You're doing your buyer consult and you're like, do not change anything.
Do not change anything.
Don't quit your job.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So you lived that.
I did.
Do you feel like that's helped you?
Absolutely. During that time, I was working 3 jobs. I was a transaction coordinator for the team I worked on. I still did real estate, and I was a part-time office manager for the company I was at. Everything I could do to make ends meet. And then when I got my broker's license, I did broker price opinions. Back in those days, you got paid $50, maybe if you're lucky, $100 for work that took a good 3 hours. And so I paid bills just barely with doing those. So in '09, my broker, it was actually Christmas of '09, my broker short sold my house. It was final. And that was hard. It was one of the lowest moments when I remember going into my closet and hiding and just crying my eyes out because I didn't want my kids, to see that. And then just negotiating my own debt. And I got so screwed by Chase. I got so screwed by Chase. But,
Thanks, Chase.
Yeah, thanks, Chase. They're not a sponsor. But
No.
no.
Yeah.
Anyway, I rebuilt. I taught Dave Ramsey's classes. My boys learned from that. It's interesting that they have different takeaways from that time period now.
What did they take away? Hit on that.
Well, I think that my older son, Brandon, is, oh gosh, he's definitely a lot more careful and saves a lot more and just pays a lot more attention. And gosh, if they hear this, they might get mad. But Kyle, my younger one, he's a little bit more like me, lives in the instant gratification.
Okay.
The Italian shoes.
He likes those Italian shoes too?
Yeah, he likes the fine things. But he actually was a really big saver initially until COVID. And then I think he's struggled a little bit since then.
I think it's interesting too that you're in that situation financially, and kudos to you for saying, I'm not only going to learn this Dave Ramsey program, I'm going to teach it.
Yeah.
I think teaching instills something different in us.
Yeah.
So do you feel like it did that for you?
Absolutely. It helped keep me focused on the end, which was getting out of the hole and making sure that pain I didn't want to ever experience again. And I mean, in full transparency, as time passes and we get further and further away from things, we realize, oh, snap.
Yes.
Here we are again. You better clean this up. Right. And so hopefully you figure things out sooner than later.
Yeah. Maybe you see signs a little sooner.
Oh, yeah.
You get further away from that pain and you kind of become desensitized. It's kind
Absolutely.
of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So how long did it take you to recover? So that's 08, 09. 09, you sold your house.
Yeah. '09 was the short sell. And then I actually did an owner carry on a property in, I think, 10 or 11. So I did an owner carry. I was starting to get back on my feet while even though I was divorced in '05, my name was still on the mortgage.
Oh, no.
And because of the market, he couldn't sell the property. And so this is when I'm like, okay, I didn't understand that your name can be off title with a quitclaim, but you're still responsible financially on the mortgage.
Yeah.
And I had signed off my benefit to the house, but I had not signed off my responsibility.
Oh.
And so, we had a good working relationship because obviously we had kids. But as I was prepping to take over my owner carry, have to do the refinance, literally months before, he said, I just got the bank to agree. And so I'm going to have to do like it's a short sell. It's like agreed to summary. I forget the name, but
yep.
And I was like, no, you can't do that. I'm getting ready to do this. And it threw me into a little bit of a spin.
No.
Thankfully it worked out. I was able to refinance in time and then he could do his. And finally,
Work
10 years
that.
later,
Holy
I got
cow.
off it. 10 years.
10 years you
Yeah.
were on that.
Yeah.
Wow. So you just recently got off of that.
It's been, I think, like 6 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty creative. Owner carry.
Yeah.
So you're not renting, you're building equity,
Yeah.
right? You
Mhm.
figured out a way to buy even though your credit. So if you're out there and you're thinking there's no way,
There's a
there's
way.
ways. What'd you do after that?
Well, then I went to Keller.
Okay.
And I think that was 2014. And I started building a team. I immediately had an agent that came over with me. And you hear Ben tell the story, like, if they're breathing and they want to work with me, then sign me up, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you like me.
Yep.
Okay, let's work together.
Yeah.
And that only worked a few months because she's like, Michelle, this is not going to work. And I'm like, you're right. I was back to being solo. And then once again, I'm like, okay, I've never done real estate in a traditional sense. And by this time, I'd been in it 7 years. And so I started hitting canceled expireds. I had a contract with America Homes for rent for a little bit, and started building a team. And then in 2015, I was like, maybe I should expand. This whole idea of expansion teams kind of started. And I thought, well, why wouldn't I take advantage of the sphere I have in California? And so I went to a conference or a class that was being taught by Ben Kinney and Kristen Cole and at Keller Williams. And Ben talked about these two big teams and colliding and really having the synergy to accomplish more when you are with great people. And I thought, why am I reinventing the wheel? Why would I not just jump on this bandwagon and do this partner? And so at a break, I went to him and said, "Do you have a partner in Boise?" And he goes, "No." I go, "Well, do you want one?" "I don't know." And a year later, we finally did it.
That's awesome. So, and to be fair, what's really cool to me, I've been with Keller Williams. I didn't get into real estate till 2018. And been with Keller Williams the whole time. One of the things that intrigued me most about it was the curriculum that they offer. And the fact that Gary Keller is writing The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Switch, or Shift, and all these books, just that was really enticing to me because I knew if I can see volume, I'm going to catch on to this quickly. And at that time that you're talking about, you had, and I was a witness to it, I had helped build other businesses. And I had been lucky enough to be able to see businesses go from a small business where it was operator owned, and then they had to break through these ceilings of putting in like systems and models and frameworks in order to run and function at a higher level. And it was interesting to me that I think that really was what gave me my entry into real estate. You know how I came in, and there were people that were running teams that were hitting ceilings. They didn't know how to break through. And I think what Ben and Kris put together with Place and with the Ben Kinney teams, that was really, it broke the mold. Because what they saw was, okay, there are teams out here that need support. They need support at a higher level. They need the business systems, the financial systems, the CRM, and man, it's changing the world. And we know what Place is today. So you just saw it a little bit sooner than everybody else.
Well, team number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hired with 3 at the same time. So we're 3, 4, 5. I mean, that number doesn't equate to in the Place world necessarily with the merge. But I mean, we're now as Place, we're around 500.
Wow.
So that part's pretty impressive. I mean, I remember sitting in Ben's dining room pre-Place, obviously, and seeing his vision. And I thought, you're either batshit crazy or super smart. So,
and he is one of the most dynamic and interesting individuals I've ever met. I mean, just one of the coolest guys in the world. And during that time period, I was lucky enough, he's really good friends with Mike. And I was lucky enough to sit at some tables with him and watch him work through frustrations and just things that he was hitting and people and just different scenarios. But they've been able to do it. And that company is insane. It is insane. So let's talk about now. You're obviously heavily involved in RPAC, in Idaho Realtors. Why are you so passionate about that? Why do you do? I mean, a lot of people would look at you and say, "Man, I'm so busy running my team, running my business, doing all these other things." Because you don't play small, Michelle. You're not playing small.
Thanks.
Right? You're playing big, and then you're going out and you're doing these other things, and that's a major responsibility. I mean, you're in East Idaho today. Your team's back in Boise. You've got great people. Why the passion? Where did that come from?
I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but I've always been involved. I mean, in high school, I ran for office. In college, I was a senator. I wanted to be in politics. And then that kind of changed. Life changed that. And so when I got involved, actually, even at the police department, I was secretary for the association. So I've always been involved. When I got in real estate, I want to be involved. And it was hard to get involved at first because I have no idea why, but I was like, what committee wants me? And I just kept knocking until I finally, and my first committee was MLS.
Okay.
It was MLS technology. They were the first ones to accept me.
When
And
was that? What year was that?
gosh, I don't know, early 2010s ish,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
So it's been a while that you've
Yeah.
been doing that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I really like being part of the conversation. I like being able to take the chaos to some degree and making sense of it and helping someone else understand it.
Mm.
Um, and I like being part of the conversation.
Well, and when I say you don't play small, you don't play small there either. It's not like you're just volunteering to get a notch on your belt.
Yeah.
Some people do that, right?
Yeah.
They just say, "Hey, I need to build up the resume." I remember during COVID, you were one of the most critical voices in helping people navigate that. I mean, we were a lot of people were not that far from it, but we were at one point considered non-essential
Yep.
as realtors. And so, there were a lot of people that were afraid. We woke up one day and we didn't know if we were going to be able to go into houses, and it completely changed the dynamic of how we had to do business. We had to gloves, and people weren't turning on lights anymore. People turned them on before they left, and all these things. And the one voice I remember through that whole time is you.
Oh,
You were
thank you.
constantly doing webinars, and you were constantly talking on calls, and it's not like you're playing small there. I love that you're that involved, and you are a huge piece of what's going on. I guess that, that leads me to kind of this question of what are the biggest challenges that that realtors are facing right now? Like, what are we dealing with?
Well, there's so much happening with technology and AI and MLS and private listings.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of people kind of putting their head in the sand, so to speak, and thinking that it'll just all work out and then I'll wake up. But this is not the time to put your head in the sand. You need to actually take a moment to understand, ask questions until you understand, and ask different people. I mean, there's going to be different perspectives out there for sure, and make up your own mind. There's a lot of disruption happening.
Mm.
And I think my fear is that we're going backwards in the MLS arena, and there's fragmentation
Mm.
happening. I'm afraid of what's going to happen with that down the road if we don't start making some changes fairly quickly.
That makes me nervous when I think about it and I read and I look at these things. And, I heard you talk a little bit about this today, but we cannot be. I love how you say we've got to unite. You cannot put your head in the sand right now. You got to become involved.
Yep.
And what everybody's expecting on the other side of this thing is for us to do that. We're
Yep.
so fragmented, and MLSs and realtors, and you got to. I think about the days. And Mike Hicks was my partner for a while. I used to tease him and be like, "Dude, you don't have to pick the catalog up anymore." Right?
Yeah.
Because when he started doing real estate, he would have to drive by the MLS office and pick up the physical catalog for the listings that went live that week.
Yeah.
And so, but this is a different world. And the MLS model, I feel like, was really built around that kind of protecting that moat. When I started doing business in some of these other areas because technology allowed it, it was really foreign to both him and another partner that I had because they were referring it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was like, I don't know that MLS. I don't know that market. I'm going to refer it off. And technology has basically cleared that moat.
Yep.
Like I could do business in Boise if I wanted to tomorrow, if I had the right data and I knew how to read it. And that's what technology is doing. And so I 100% agree with you. It's not a time to be putting your head in the sand. People
Yep.
have got to get involved. How do they get involved? What's the best way to stay up to date, to get involved in RPAC, in Idaho Realtors, or in whatever state they're watching in? What's the best way to do that?
I would say what's your passion, and then find out what avenues there is for that. But if you are a realtor member and you want to understand more about advocacy, like we talk a lot about advocacy, and it's kind of this word that just lingers out there. Go to a major investor dinner. Go to an RPAC. Go to someone that is involved in RPAC and just start asking questions, because it is. I hear so much misinformation about, well, I'm Democrat, so I don't want to do RPAC because they're Republican. No, they're not.
Mhm.
Actually, if you look at the voting, no, we support the issues,
Mm.
not necessarily the person that is Republican or Democrat. So you can also, by the way, be a major investor and participate in that arena and still vote how you feel comfortable with your,
Yeah, whatever your political
yeah,
leaning is,
yeah,
take her challenge. You got to find somebody that's involved
yep,
in next year's president is here in East Idaho, Jennifer McCulloch.
yep, yep.
So she's we're representing on all sides of the state, Northern Idaho. Great people up there too, but really appreciate all you're doing.
Yeah,
If you
thank you.
guys don't know, Michelle has a YouTube channel
I do.
and she's updating it constantly with different issues that are going on with realtors. If you're in Boise and you're looking for a realtor or a real estate team,
Thank you.
they do a great job.
Appreciate that.
So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thank
Anything
you.
you would add before we wrap this thing up?
Well, I mean, the other piece I would just add, I guess, really is on the realtor side. And when we talk about not just being involved in the association side of things or in the business, but realtors now more than ever need to treat this like a business, which means that you are showing up full time, whatever that full time happens to look like. You are working on your skills, you are educating yourself. This is not a time for I wake up at 10 and I go to happy hour at 2, and don't shoot me with emails being pissed about it, because there is this idea.
Yeah.
There's this idea that I, worked part-time somewhere else, got my license, and now I'm helping people with millions of dollars in real estate. It's not that easy. It may be easy for a barrier of entry, but it is not an easy profession to stay in. And so treat it like a business, which means you need to think bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, we cannot have hobbyists.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and if you wonder what that means, and if you have a question in your mind as to whether or not you're treating it like a business, answer the question, do you have a P&L? If you don't have a P&L, you're a hobbyist.
Yeah.
If you do have a P&L, you're a business owner. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other, and if this person hears this, hopefully they don't take it personal, but I had a conversation with an agent that has been in the business 20 plus years and has dealt in the new construction side, and their net is like 250, 300,000. And they were tired of working 50 hours a week. And, there's an element I understand about that, because they are working in an environment that has become more corporate than what they wanted. And most realtors get into business in order to have flexibility. The problem is they haven't built the foundation in order to earn the right for the flexibility,
That's right?
And as I thought about this, I'm like, gosh, she's complaining about making $250,000 a year working 50 hours a week. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And compare that to other corporate positions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So why couldn't he, and he's complaining about it, what do you think the barrier, and I kind of know the answer, I'm kind of baiting you in here, but it's, why couldn't he walk away and do it on his own?
Well, he could. Here's the part that people get tied up with is thinking in scarcity and so small-minded that the question that is asked is, well, what is the split? It's not the split. It's what are you getting? And if you are asking, what leads am I getting? That's also not the question.
That's
because
right.
that goes back to the whole, what is it? Take a horse, feed a horse.
Yes.
What is the saying? I'm so bad.
You can feed a horse for a day, or what is it? Teach a horse to eat, or
I think it's
feed him
fish.
for a day. I don't know.
I think it's you could
if
teach someone
if you
to
get
fish.
on the horse and ride it hard. I don't know.
I think you could teach someone to fish, or you could just give them fish.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Don't give them the damn fish. Teach them to fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't know where horse came from, but
I don't know, but I feel like going riding right now. So let's do it. What's really interesting about what you just said, and I don't know who this guy is, but I 100% agree with you. When we were running a team at a high level, we moved to, and Ben is heavy on this, it's a prospecting based model.
Yeah.
It is. And the reason is because you empower people to own their business.
Yeah.
You empower people to make the change. if the leads all of a sudden stop, which they did after 2022, you're getting fed by this Zillow, by this third party aggregate that's just feeding you leads. Well, their leads dried up too.
Yeah.
But anybody that was running a team that was feeding them leads that way all of a sudden got the blame.
Yep.
And people started to look elsewhere. And that's why I also say run a P&L. If you're running a P&L, then you will understand. It's the split conversation is so kindergarten.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. That is a uneducated kindergarten conversation. I don't care who I offend. I want you to think differently, because the split, you always have a split.
Yep.
Right? There's always a cost. And when you start to run a P&L, you'll start to understand that.
Yeah.
You'll understand, oh crap, my signs cost me money. Oh shoot, I have to pay a transaction manager something. Oh, if I want to pay somebody for leads, it's going to cost me $3,000 a month. Now what's your split? You're not getting 100% of that 3% like you think you are.
Assuming it's 3% because that's
Yeah,
negotiable.
making an assumption,
Hashtag.
of you're not getting 100% of whatever you've negotiated,
Yeah.
right? There's an expense line that comes out of that. And that's I know what Place is offering. I know what you're offering. There is nothing better than that. You're offering to help somebody basically have a whole back end of their business that is second to none.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at what cost? Well, whatever that is, do the math.
Yeah.
Do
That's
the math.
it. People don't do the math.
No.
Or they make assumptions based on comparing data that does not compare. You don't compare apples with oranges, apples to apples.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or they spend way too much time at lunch with the local lender or local title company that likes to ask them, when are you going to go on your own?
Yeah.
Right? Or like that, get educated. I think that's what we're saying. So if you are an agent and you are trying to build your business and you're in the Boise area, you need to reach out to this team.
Thank you.
Second to none. So
appreciate it.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
When you're on this side of the state, stop by anytime.
Blow on through because that's how windy it is.
Well, just keep racing the trampolines down the interstate. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks you guys. We'll see you on the next one.